great pleasure to be here among you again. I want to talk briefly this afternoon about the recent parliamentary elections in Iran, what they mean for the people of Iran, and what they mean for us going forward. As you all know, on February 21, Iran held the first round of parliamentary elections. Almost 58 million Iranians were eligible to vote, and the people were told repeatedly that it was their duty to vote. Not voting was the equivalent of treason, they were warned. The nationwide boycott of the election was a rebuke to the regime and a signal that the Iranian people are no longer willing to accept rule by this government. It was also a signal to us and the other members of the international community that the Iranian people are willing to defy the regime and take brave and courageous steps to build a real democracy, one that represents their interests and respects their dignity. So the question we need to ask ourselves is, why did he choose to do so now, at this point in time? The conclusion I draw is that this sham election is a sign of the regime's weakness, not strength. Over the past few months, the regime has been further weakened by a series of defeats and setbacks. Last November, fuel prices inside Iran tripled, sparking protests and riots across the country. On one day, protests were reported in 165 cities in Iran. The people involved came not just from the middle classes, but also from the lower classes of Iranian society, including the unemployed and farmers, people the regime previously had counted on for its support. In order to suppress the voice of the people and restore order, the regime resorted to the tool that it knows best: violence. Within a matter of days, the IRGC killed over 1,500 Iranians. On January 3rd, a U.S. airstrike killed Qasem Soleimani, the commander of the Quds Force and the right hand of Ayatollah Khamenei. Days later, the IRGC shot down a Boeing 737 civilian airliner operated by the Ukrainian International Airlines as it was taking off from Tehran Airport. All 176 people on board, including numerous Iranians, were killed. The February parliamentary elections took place against this backdrop. Wounded by these events, the regime could not risk another setback. When a government doesn't trust its own people, it's a sign of grave weakness, not strength. We've seen this again with respect to the coronavirus outbreak, where Tehran ignored and covered up the problem rather than share the information with the medical community and the Iranian people. They were afraid of their own citizens. And here again, the results of their behavior have been tragic. Today, we see an authoritarian regime in Tehran that is in crisis. We see an authoritarian regime that is fundamentally illegitimate. We see an authoritarian regime that is unwilling to tell the truth to its own people. We see an authoritarian regime that uses violence indiscriminately. And above all, we see Madame Rajavi and the National Council of Resistance in Iran as a viable, democratic alternative that best expresses the hopes and aspirations of all the Iranian people who want to breathe free. We see all that, and so we see a better future for Iran and the Iranian people someday soon.